You got that sweet 5G coursing through your veins?
Oh yeah, I'm just shooting the 5G out of my fingers.
The targeted ads hitting you differently now?
Yeah. Ultimate power.
God. Jeez. Well, it is Sunday night, people. Welcome to Getting Off Topic podcast, and happy Mother's Day to y'all out there. Moms, stepmoms, foster moms, bunny moms,
Dog moms.
dog moms, all four-legged creature, all furry creature, moms of all sorts. And
What are you doing, stepmother?
What?
Nothing. Never mind. Only the degenerates will get that joke.
Okay. Is this something that we're gonna have to search later and be horrified by?
Yes.
Okay. Jesus. Since Byron, you got the sweet 5G coursing through your veins, about to explode.
Delicious.
And
Ultimate power.
God, that is just the shittiest. God damn it. Don't pain me with the prequels. And Todd, you said you got a bit of a headache, so we'll try to keep this quick. And works out on our favor because honestly, maybe it was just me not paying attention this week, but I didn't see a lot of news-ish stuff.
Nothing.
Yeah,
I
just
didn't see
a little
much
headline.
either.
But yeah, we'll get around to our latest Star Wars endeavor in a minute.
I guess before I guess I have something topical to talk about since we don't have too much on the plate.
Yeah, go for it.
In our multi-part series of Boomers Learn Crypto and Other New Currencies, I decided to dive into the Dogecoin bullshit.
Did you
And
buy?
I bought at the exact wrong fucking time.
Oh no.
I bought when it was on the meteoric rise.
Oh, man.
And then
Before the 30% drop.
exactly before the 30%, like literally an hour before the 30% drop.
That sucks.
I bought it like 70 cents and thinking, because like everybody was saying, okay, it's going to hit $1 today. It's going to hit $1 today. I was thinking, all right, I'm going to put my vacation fund in here. And instead of having just a short, quick, like, vacation, I'll spring for a nice hotel in downtown or Santa Monica or something, and I'll go to a nice dinner. And instead of that, I'm looking at a staycation because immediately it dropped from 75 cents down to like 49 fucking cents within a matter of minutes.
Yeah,
So
didn't
you'll be having a nice dinner at the dollar store.
Yes.
Yeah, off the dollar
Yeah.
menu drive-through.
Yes, but I'm guessing that a lot of people are going to use this drop as a reason to buy.
Yeah, there's already a ton of people
So-
saying they're rebuying right now.
Yeah, of course.
And it is.
Yeah,
it is
I mean, I was
climbing back
even-
up.
I am generally someone who has avoided the crypto like train just because I don't know, I'm skeptical of any sort of large percentage of increase that isn't like an interest rate, you know. But I mean, I don't know, this sort of just seems like it's gonna be around for a while at this point. Like,
I mean,
I wish I would have bought like 3 months ago, but
Not even that. Like, Dogecoin was at 2 cents literally like a week and a half ago, and it's at 55 cents now. Even if you didn't buy at the stupid high rates like I did, if you had like original 2-cent Dogecoin and you sold it now at the 55-cent profit mark, like if you had like a couple of $1,000 in there, you're like golden. Like there's one dude that they had a Washington Journal article about. He put $100,000 in Dogecoin about
yeah, but
6
you have to
months
have
ago.
$100,000
Yeah.
to do something like that.
Well, he literally remortgaged his house,
Oh,
and
okay.
now he's a fucking multimillionaire because of that. But like, you can never anticipate that kind of crap. You can
No, of
never
course.
anticipate a giant meteoric rise like this.
To the moon. Oh,
Diamond
man.
hands, motherfuckers.
GameStop to the moon.
Maybe I
Dogecoin
will
to the
just
moon.
buy some, because actually I was telling myself if it dropped more than 30%, I was gonna buy. So yeah, I guess
Oh, it's on the
Yes, I
rise
gotta
again.
buy
It's back
now.
up to 55 cents per.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It was
So
down to 40 cents per, but we're
I can't
back up.
remember. I can't remember if I talked. I'm pretty sure I must have talked about it on here. But when I bought my 3 little shares of GameStop during that whole thing, I think I bought at like 260 or something like that, and then it immediately started falling back down again. And it took like 2-3 weeks or something for it to
to
get
get back to where it was.
just to that. Yeah, and I got out with like a profit of $15. And then I was able to like sell immediately, and that was the end of that. And I was like, all right.
I'm sort of wondering like what a responsible amount of like play money is reasonable to put into something like this, you know?
Whatever you're willing to give up, you know,
Lose. Yeah,
it's a
effectively.
fucking casino. So
Yeah,
whatever you're
yeah.
willing
Like
to
I
put in the
could
slot
I could
machine.
probably lose $200 and feel comfortable with it, you know, like
Yeah, that's why I used my vacation fund. It's not like I put any money on my credit card or anything. It's like, yeah, this is my vacation fund, so it was going to be spent anyway. So
especially since
That's a
like
good way
I
to look at it.
feel like now that like crypto is just sort of going to be around for a while, these things are probably just going to continue to go up because
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
like look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is worth 60,000 per coin right now. 60,000.
what was
That's
it 5 years
ridiculous.
ago?
It was barely breaking the like 10,000 mark, and it was like fluctuating really, really heavily. Like I remember at one point it crashed and it was down to like
So
a
it's worth
thousand a
like
coin.
10 times what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much.
To have a time machine to buy when it started and just buy like, I don't know.
See, and that's the other thing is that like
Doesn't-
I've been having this same conversation for 5 years now. Yeah, you know, so at a certain point you think you think a little bit of me would just be like, well, why don't I just try it out? You know, I don't like the environmental aspects of crypto coin mining.
Well, not all crypto
Yeah.
are mined. Like Dogecoin is not mined. Dogecoin is
Yeah.
a
That's why
finite amount.
I've never bought Bitcoin, is because I don't agree with like the mining.
Yeah, same here.
But if Doge, I mean, I understand Doge a little bit less than. Was there just a finite amount that were created?
Yeah, so technically the creators can make more anytime they want, but they don't because they know that it'll devalue the currency.
I was just gonna say that's a real nice way to manipulate your currency.
Yeah, exactly.
Sean Krinsky turned me on to this one Pi, and I'm set up with him as like part of a mining team while they're in like the test phase before they launch it mainstream, I guess. And the reason that it fascinated me and him was that apparently it's the first one that we can mine from our phones, and it does
Interesting.
not. It gets around that heavy duty environmental impact. It's fascinating.
So
Like I
it
said,
just drains your phone's battery rather than.
no, it doesn't. Like it's not sitting there draining the battery either. I don't really quite comprehend how it works, but it's sitting there like just the numbers keep ticking up. And you know, my Samsung 10 has not exploded yet, nor battery drained massively. So I'm like, okay, we'll see what it does. It could amount to nothing, or I could be, you know.
So I
on a
guess the
yacht.
formula for me at least then is, at what point does my greed outweigh my skepticism?
That was me. That was me literally yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Like,
like, and it's not necessarily that I'm skeptical of how the technology works or the market forces involved. Like I definitely have, even when I first heard about Bitcoin, I sort of knew that it would be a long-term thing. Like I didn't think it was gonna randomly disappear. I thought it would be very volatile, and it is very volatile. But it was more of like, I don't know, that just seems like another thing I have to fucking worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
That comes to, yeah, my laziness outweighs everything.
Yeah,
Like, I don't have the mental
exactly.
capacity to expend on all of this and freaking out. I'm like, oh God, like it's meteoric now. I need to keep an eye on the news at all times to grab it before it drops and sell, whatever.
Yeah,
that's why
it's
I'm
like day
with my
trading.
boring-
It's like day trading versus investing. Investing, you put your money in there, you leave it, you sit, and you forget about
I
it.
am much more interested in that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Day trading, you have to watch it like a fucking hawk and
Yeah.
sell at the right moments and buy at the right moments.
That's
Yeah, no.
why something like I probably will never touch Bitcoin, mainly because its volatility makes it a liability. Um uh though it has just generally gone up over time.
Yeah, Bitcoin
Also,
is probably the safest of all the cryptos at the moment.
but the environmental stuff is like a no-go for me. But like if Doge, I mean Doge is probably going to end up being pretty volatile too, but if you get in at the bottom, then it's less volatile, you know?
Yeah, if you can get when it bottoms out at the whatever low price it's gonna remain at, then
Because if
that's
you
perfect.
just sit on that shit, you know, even if you bought $200 worth and you bought it like it was supposed to be bought 10 years ago for Bitcoin, that still means that your initial $200 investment, even if it grows by a negligible, you know, 500% versus Bitcoin's like 10 or 10,000% or whatever it is, um, then you've still more than quadrupled your money, you know, and there is no savings plan in the world that can get you that type of returns under any circumstances
Hmm.
Yeah. It
without,
ultimately
you know,
comes with
without
the-
interest, like without compounding interest.
yeah. Problem is, most people want to get rich quick and they don't want to wait like 40, 50 years for something to,
I mean, anybody who understands like the current current financial investment trends, they know that that's not possible.
It's
So,
funny that we're talking about all this because I just saw after last week's podcast where Byron, you went all Jack Ryan on our asses. Or Tom Clancy, I should say. Like the next day or 2 days after or something, I was in my financial independence Facebook group, and somebody from home, like from their living room, posted a picture of their TV, and they were watching the Jack Ryan show with John Krasinski, and it was a freeze frame of him, and the caption was him talking about what you need to do is get yourself a good S&P 500 index fund. I was like,
yeah, because
oh.
that's the whole thing is that Jack Ryan is in the books. Jack Ryan, and this is why he's like the Republican like Batman.
Yeah.
Because he's a self-made millionaire from mutual funds,
Yeah,
from
it
the
was
stock
like,
market,
yeah. So I just thought it was so funny,
which is like the most Republican-esque hero I've ever heard of in my entire life.
well, I mean, at the same time, it's what I'm doing, how I'm gonna, work towards my independence there. But it was just
No,
funny.
no,
There's like
it's
a
not
day
saying
or
that
two after
those
that we were
methods
talking
don't
about
work. I'm just it was just the
it. Yeah. But just like a day or two after we were talking about it, it's like, oh, there's Jack Ryan saying what's what. I'm like, oh, all right, good on you, good on you, sir. uh, anyway, now that we've been talking for 10 minutes about this very, very interesting stuff, did y'all catch that the right after I published our last podcast, Marvel dropped their big Marvel Celebrates the Movies little
yeah.
celebration of movies with that sweet, sweet Stan Lee narration, the voiceover, reminding us that Stan is watching over us forever and ever.
He's a watcher.
Well, he is a watcher. Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the watcher, yeah, canonically. But also dropping dates for Black and a tiny, sliver of footage for Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals.
And that was the first footage we've seen of Eternals too.
Yeah.
So
Eternal, yeah, for sure. But yeah, basically Marvel saying like, "Oh, come on back to the movies. Movies are back," and making up for lost time because they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're not just back. We're giving you 4 movies this year."
oh my god. So I was looking at the like list of movies in the next 2 years,
Yeah.
And it's crazy. We're getting like 4 Marvel movies in less than 9 months this year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're getting 4 Marvel movies next year
Mhm.
and 4 Marvel movies the year after that.
Jesus Christ.
It's basically like get your asses back into the theater, guys.
So that is including Sony stuff too. So.
Yeah. So we've got we can run down the list. Black Widow, of course, which is long overdue, July 9th.
That was originally supposed to come out May of 2020, right?
Yeah. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, September 3rd this year, followed by Eternals, November 5th, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, December 17th, which I want to say I'm the most excited for that, really. I mean,
I'm the
sure
most
everything-
excited for Shang-Chi. That looks
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
It looks fun, yeah. I'm like not familiar with the comics or anything, so I'm not like, oh wow, they're finally doing this. I mean, I think it's great, but like I have no context to be excited other than like, oh, cool
I
trailer.
am very hyped for Eternals because have you
Yeah.
guys heard the buzz surrounding Eternals?
No.
So I read this rumor, so grain of salt with that, you know. I read a rumor about a month and a half ago that Eternals is absolutely flabbergasted by the quality of Eternals.
Well, look at the fucking cast on that, though.
Like the rumors from Marvel are it's so good they don't know what to do with it.
Okay, hold up, Byron. You're starting to sound like every fucking horror movie trailer that's like, this is the scariest movie of all time.
Well,
And
I
it's like,
mean,
fucking, come on.
the director did just win an Academy Award for Best Picture, so
Okay.
and Best
Alright.
Director, so
Okay. I saw like random shots of Angelina Jolie and Buff Kumel, and that's
Dude,
pretty much
not
all I
just
know.
buff, like unreasonably
yeah, he is
jacked.
fucking ripped.
Like
Unreasonably. No, yeah, it reminded me of the first time we saw the publicity shot.
X-Files Files podcast, more like Sex Files podcast.
It reminded me of the first publicity shot for with Hugh Jackman in The Wolverine.
Huge jacked man.
Yeah, where it was just like, oh, I'm seeing like literally every ripple and vein on his body. Holy shit.
Or the first time you see Chris Pratt after coming off Fat Community, and then suddenly now he's fucking ripped Star-Lord.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that
Parks
was
and
the
Rec.
one for me where I was just like, whoa, holy
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, what do you what?
Why are you so attractive now, Chris Pratt?
That was but
Why are you
but
making
you're
me
so-
question my sexuality?
Oh dear God.
I love how now Meg and I we never got on the Parks and Rec train until much later. Like just a couple
I had
years
like
ago.
just jumped on the Parks and Rec train.
Yeah, so it was funny because we were binge watching it at home, and there's like one season ends, and he's old Chris Pratt, and a new season begins, and it's like, whoa! And we just watched it back to back, and it's hilarious how they did a little sly nod to it in the show, like in that first episode back, where he just kind of casually he's in a conversation with one other, I forget which other character, and they're asking him about it. It's like one of those conversations that the camera cuts to mid-conversation. And he's just like, and so you just quit drinking beer and then you lost all this weight? He's like, yeah, totally. All I had to do was stop drinking beer and I lost like 50 pounds. Crazy. It's like, and that was very in character for Andy. That
Well,
would
and then
be-
they had him do Johnny Karate after that, which you know
yeah.
I thought worked.
Anyway, next year, the next 4, we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. March
I'm pretty
26th.
hyped for that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Return of Sam Raimi to Marvel, you know, that's a good thing.
Fuck yeah. And by
Not
the
only
way,
that, but Strange is probably my top 3.
yeah, there was an interesting little tidbit I saw from a little interview from Kevin Feige this past week, mentioning how confirming that Strange was originally written into the end of WandaVision. He was
There were a lot of
actually-
rumors about that.
Yeah. So he finally confirmed it in a little chat last week, and he was like, "Yes, in fact, in the earlier versions, earlier drafts, the commercials that were being broadcast, or the original story behind that was Strange trying to get through to her, sending her messages, reminding her of her past."
See, that makes a lot more sense.
It does, yeah.
Then the explanation that they came up with was that there wasn't a fucking explanation.
Yeah, and so that got scrapped, and Strange was originally gonna, appear in the end and come in, and but Kevin Feige, he said, I forget the exact wording he said, but he's basically, we wanted to avoid taking it away from Wanda, and avoid the whole like, here's the strong white man coming in at the end to tell you, this is how you do this.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone
works,
over very well.
Yeah, so they wisely they changed that, and because of that, they had to do a quick rewrite and for Multiverse of Madness, because at this point yeah, because at this point they have not linked up. So, but yeah, following that, Thor: Love and Thunder, May 6th.
Yes.
Oh god, that's gonna be all kinds of magical.
That's what I'm excited.
Yeah. After that, Black Panther, which officially they revealed the title, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is nice, which is fitting. July 8th.
So apparently they're doing some rewrites on that. So
Yeah, they're
that,
retooling it supposedly.
yeah, because originally the plan was to just like sort of not really acknowledge
Chadwick Boseman.
yeah, Chadwick Boseman's death and sort
Which
of
seems like a
How do you not acknowledge?
yeah, that seems like a
well
bad
they
idea.
didn't they were gonna like sort of Poochie left to another planet.
Yeah, we're gonna build a story like, no, he's in the bathroom, but he'll get back to the fight. Just give him a minute, and then the story just ends before he gets
He
back.
had some really, really bad nachos.
Yeah, I've been seeing little snippets of interviews from some of the cast, and they're, of course, everybody's asking them, how do you feel coming back to this without him? And it's obviously very rough. I think Lupita Nyong'o said something about that. How they've reworked the story now, Ryan Coogler's reworked the story. It really does honor him the best way they can. It's obviously still very difficult and strange to be, back in this world without him, but supposedly they're finding a way through it. So,
Do you guys think that they'll push it back? That it'll get delayed?
Probably.
I'm guessing it probably will.
maybe.
Because if they're saying that it's being retooled, that's not the type of language you let out unless you're preparing that there's going to be a wait, because those are the types of things that you deal with like under the radar.
It's already gone through like 3 or 4 different major rewrites, because I mean, first you have Chadwick Boseman's death, where they were already writing it then.
See, and that's what I mean. The language retooling in that industry is not just a major rewrite. Retooling means they're scrapping the existing script they have and they're coming up with a new one.
You're right, because I remember they used that exact phrase for the Obi-Wan show.
Yep.
We're retooling it.
Retooling almost always means that they're doing a page one rewrite. They may keep initial things from the previous versions, but it almost always means that entire locations have to be changed. So I would not be surprised if Wakanda Forever gets pushed back at least 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Todd, maybe you saw some different articles that I didn't see, because from what I was reading, I got the impression that those changes had already been completed, and now.
So this news came out like a day or two after that, or the movies thing came out.
Okay.
And it was specific language that said, it was like a press release thing type of thing, where it was like Wakanda Forever is being retooled.
Gotcha.
And I'm guessing, because there's also been this push recently by fans of Black Panther, that it would actually be disrespectful to Chadwick Boseman if they left the role of Black Panther alone. Because
yeah, so that's what I originally meant. I originally meant they weren't gonna they originally said they were not gonna recast him, but there was a big campaign recently within the last couple of months, is please do respectfully recast him. Don't let the character die.
Because Black Panther fans have effectively not gotten, they'll never get a Black Panther if you just avoid it, and Black Panther is such a like foundational element of the current structure of Marvel. You can't just like, I'm guessing like sure he's a great character and all, but there are big. That's like if they just never touch Captain America again.
Or
If
like
like
in Harry, look at Harry Potter when the actor George Harrison when
Yeah.
Dumbledore died.
Right.
If they didn't recast that character, that would be a completely unworkable series.
well, there are a lot of people who sort of wish they had.
Well, yeah, I know.
I'm not one of those
Michael
people,
Gam.
but
I didn't like Michael Gambon's portrayal, but that's another
I'm
story.
fine with it, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. Following that, if everything goes according to plan, the Marvels, November 11th, which is the Captain Marvel sequel. Brie Larson should be joined by Teyonah Parris, Monica Rambeau, and Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, who we will see soon in Miss Marvel show.
Like I
And
will say that I'm a little I mean, I already knew that they were going to be in the movie because they pretty much announced it months ago, but I am a little surprised that they're not giving they're not waiting a little bit longer. I think it's fine, but I'm just a little surprised.
Now, will
Do
that
you think we'll see America Chavez in this as well? Because I know she's in in Doctor Strange. Because she's usually a partner with Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I doubt it. I'm guessing there might be some multiversal shenanigans going on there with America.
I guess that
Okay.
one will mark the first major film that crosses over a character introduced from a TV series, right?
TV show, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we'll see probably more of Wanda's kids in Strange too.
Yeah.
But beyond that, Monica Rambeau, Kamala Khan, that's all originating from the TV verse. So
hmm And
Wait,
I
Kamala's
mean,
going to be on one of the shows?
yeah,
yeah,
Miss
she's getting her
Marvel,
own show.
Miss Marvel.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then following that,
Which they've already started production on.
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. The photos that dropped of her in full costume and everything. And beyond that, 2023, we will finally get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania on February 17th, which is supposed to introduce Kang the Conqueror.
So that okay. So that I've talked about how I am generally bored by the Ant-Man movies. They're fun. They're fine. I've seen both of them. Well, I guess I've seen both of them twice now when I rewatched them with my sister. But them bringing in Kang actually does get me really excited because Kang is that's like an old like legendary Avengers villain like since the 70s.
Yep,
And
that's one of the OGs.
they've brought Kang back many times throughout the years, and there's been some really cool storylines about like Kang messing with various groups of people throughout time. There's also a really fantastic storyline in the 90s. I mean, some people call it some fantastic. I like it. I think it's fun. A lot of people didn't like it at the time, where Kang ends up actually being an Iron Man from the future,
Yeah.
like in the super far future.
Okay.
And yeah, anyways, that's a good storyline.
All right. Well, this version of Kang will be portrayed by Jonathan Majors, who I am not familiar with, but it looks like he's been on Lovecraft Country, which
He's the main character in Lovecraft Country.
Okay. Been meaning to get around to that along with
It's real good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. All right. And then past that, May 5th, 2023, finally, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Wow,
Aw.
that's crazy.
Close out the Guardians.
How long between those movies? Will that hit between Guardians 2?
Guardians 2 was 2017.
So it's going to be
6 years.
6 years? Is that the longest?
Between sequels, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the holiday special.
Oh, right, yeah.
But that's probably only going to be an hour long.
Did you see the Twitter interaction between Dave Bautista and James Gunn?
Oh, didn't he say that he's done playing Drax?
Yeah, this would be the end of Drax.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, it's going to be the end of this iteration of Guardians anyway.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah,
the finale for them.
And I mean, Guardians is interesting because I really feel like Guardians, more than any other movie in the MCU, set the tone for the rest of Phase 2, or really for the rest of
yeah,
the MCU.
because at the beginning, other than Iron Man,
There was no cosmic anything. I mean, Thor sort of, but different tone.
but not only that, but at the beginning, the Phase 1 and the first half of Phase 2, it was semi-serious, where there was not that many, like, individual characters could quip and make jokes, but the tones were serious.
Mm.
But after
Yeah.
Guardians, that flipped the script, where other than like Civil War and Age of Ultron, like none of them took themselves too seriously anymore.
Yeah.
I think Guardians was just a really nice breath of fresh air in the series of Marvel movies at the time it came out. It was just, the tone was just so different. And it just kind of helped break up the monotony for me.
Mm.
I mean, I don't think it was just a fresh breath of fresh air for Marvel movies. I think it was a breath of fresh air for like all movies, because
Yeah.
Mm.
it had been a really long time since a good space opera had been
Mhm.
in
Oh, yeah.
in movie form.
For
Like
sure.
there were a bunch of failed attempts in the mid 2000s, but failed is the key word there.
Mhm.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And Guardians was really the first time since like I don't know, Fifth Element, that there was a really, really successful and good space opera in movie
Yeah.
form. You know?
The Fifth Element holds a special place in my heart too.
Yeah,
So
me too.
it's pretty on par with that.
I've heard there's a
thinking about
couple people who like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard tell.
Well, I mean, it's largely
just
been
a
lost
Mila-
to time. Like I almost guarantee if you ask like Gen Zers what Fifth Element is, not very many of them are going to know what that is.
On the flip side, I found that Fifth Element is constantly playing on TV.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Well, probably
all
because the
the time.
license rights for it are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
on. I've seen it on TBS, TNT, CBS. Or
Well,
not
if Gen
CBS.
Zers know what it is, that's the only reason they're going to, is because they're gonna,
Well, I have
well,
seen
they don't watch cable, so
I've seen a lot of people, I mean, our age and then some younger ones as well online, all talking about getting their multi-pass, aka, their COVID vaccines. And there's actually Etsy shops opening up with little 3D printed, like Fifth Element style multi-passes.
multi-passes.
Yeah, that are sized so you can slip your COVID vaccine card in there.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I might get a multi-pass then.
So it is still definitely in the culture, in the ether. But it is a good time to close the book on the Guardians family, because Marvel made it clear at the end of that trailer that they're making way for Marvel's first family to come
Mhm.
back home. That sly shot of the very, very recognizable four, the Fantastic Four, at the end of that video. John
I'm
Watt.
still
No, guys, that was just Phase 4. That wasn't Fantastic Four.
I'm still betting money that they're gonna come back from the 60s.
They're gonna just time travel up.
Yeah, they're gonna come forward. Somehow they got trapped in the negative zone since the 60s.
So that would explain
Maybe.
why they haven't been around for all of the
Exactly.
major New York
And
shenanigans.
it'll give you the retro futuristic tone.
I like
It'll-
that. Yeah.
It'll give them like the the mid-century modern aesthetic built
Yeah.
in,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they could definitely play with that. I like that idea a lot, actually. Yeah. I hope that happens. And
Just
I know-
reuse half of the set dressing from WandaVision.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
think
I
we'll-
mean, you could start it that they start in the 60s and then they come back from the negative zone and it's 60 years later. you
Yeah.
know?
That works. And I think we'll enjoy the tone of it as John Watts, fresh off of the Spider-Man trilogy, will be directing that one as well. Fantastic Four.
Yeah, John Watts of Waverly Films history.
Good times. Yep. Yeah, that was it for that one. Little headline I saw for the collectors and the fans of Scott Pilgrim, the 4K ultra high def Blu-ray will be dropping July 6th. Scott
I
Pilgrim,
need to get I need to get an ultra high def Blu-ray player because I don't currently have one. But
I was gonna ask you if you collect 4K. I have
not yet, but it's on. I want to,
Yeah.
just because. I mean, I've already been fucked so many times by streaming services like removing stuff.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Occasionally I get really excitable texts from my buddy Seth down in San Diego, and he is a big 4K collector. He's got everything from fucking Tremors came out with of all things out with a sweet like I think it's a steel case, like beautiful artwork, like brand new artwork on the cover and everything. And I mean, there's websites you can go to where they show you the comparison stills and everything, and it's fucking beautiful. I was texting with my buddy Seth the other day, and he just picked up Alien, just the first one, 4K, as well as a collector set of the first 3 Predator movies. So Predator, Predator 2, and Predators, the Robert
Oh,
Rodriguez.
not AVP.
No, not AVP.
I think it's funny that you call Predators the third Predator movie.
Until you said it, I forgot it exists. Honestly, let's not.
Which is probably for the best.
That is for the
best.
best.
You know what's interesting is I haven't watched that Predators movie since it came out in the theater.
I think me too. I think at some point I
liked it. I enjoyed it, but
yeah.
And I never saw that very horribly reviewed The Predator.
Meg and I did
the Shane Black movie.
It had a lot of good moments in the first half, and then it kept going.
Isn't that the one with the pianist?
Yeah. Oh no, that's
Adrian Brody.
That's Predators.
That's Predators.
Predators.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
The second to the last one. Yeah, it had moments. And it had a decent, like a solid, like Shane Black script. That's what I was all.
That's the last thing that I saw that Shane Black has worked on.
Yeah, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything else high profile at all. So we're mostly talking about in that conversation. We're mostly talking about Predator 2 because that's one I haven't seen in fucking ages. Like maybe 15 years ago, like WGN, like daytime TV or something. And like all I remember from Predator 2 is the lots of LA night shots and like
Predator 2 is
buildings and shit.
Weird, but good.
But good, yeah.
It is very, very, very weird.
Yeah,
but it is good.
I remember the fact that that one came out in 90, I think.
Yeah, and in the far future of 1997.
Exactly. I love that era, especially like late 80s, early 90s. We had all these sci-fi properties that were like near future, like the near future dystopia was shining at that moment. Where
Escape from New York and Escape from LA were fucking perfect movies.
It was like that, like the Reagan era of like, we need to crack down on crime or else this will be our near future. And
I also love that in the near future dystopia of LA, it's just really hot.
Yeah. It's just really hot. Random
no water.
That's like the overwhelming thing that I remember about that movie. Everyone was always complaining about how hot it was.
Yeah. And the gangs
true.
It's true, yeah.
And the gangs run the place. The whole city is overrun with the street gangs, and yeah.
I mean, gang crime was actually worse in the 80s, but whatever.
Yeah. Well. We did get our first look at the Game of Thrones prequel, The House of the Dragon.
Couple of stills,
yeah, that's about it.
Yep, very Game of Thronesy.
Very Game of Thronesy, yeah, a bunch of no, not Targaryens. No, wait, yes,
No, it's Targaryens.
Targaryens with all their white hair.
I'm just curious how that's gonna be received, coming off of such a bad ending where a lot of people were like, "Fuck this." So I'm curious to see
I
what the
mean,
masses will.
I
be
think it's
like.
pretty clear that Game of Thrones is never going to be as popular as it was
No,
during
not
like
at all.
season 4 and 5. I
Yeah.
just don't think it's possible, because a lot of those people were like crossover genre fan, like people like normies who got into Game of Thrones, who are
I
I
think the
highly
normies.
doubt are going to come back for a spinoff.
I think the normies stayed for pretty much everything up until about season 7 to 8. Like they dropped out. I think the biggest drop off was after episode like 2 of season 8.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I saw some stills of Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, as Prince Daemon Targaryen with just flowy white hair. And who else here? Oh, here, go.
Thank you.
Meg's looking at it. There you go.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. The main thing I'm interested in from the descriptions of it are, talking about how it's mainly focusing on, of course, the House of the Dragon, the Targaryens. They have many a dragon around, so we'll get some sweet
Yeah. So
battle
I've
dragon
actually,
action.
I've actually read the book, and it's very much
Hot
like
dragon on dragon action.
it very much reads like a historical text rather than a fantasy book. So
So like the Silmarillion.
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
kind of.
It takes
Well,
place.
it's easier.
300
It's more accessible than that, but yeah.
All right. So this takes place 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
Oh, good. It's more accessible than the Silmarillion.
Yeah. I'm reading.
That's a high bar to set.
Series will follow the dance of the dragons, the Targaryen civil war between siblings Aegon II and Rhaenyra, who fought for the throne after the death of their father Viserys I. The Dance of the Dragons pits Westeros great houses, including the Lannisters and the Starks, against each other and resulted
So
in...
does any this is what I want to ask. Does any of this come from references in the books, the existing books?
Yeah, so there is, like I said, the book itself, Fire and Blood, and then they mention some of these ancestor characters in the first couple of books of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. That's, I mean...
Because I read the first one, and that was like almost 12 years ago. So
yeah. I mean, from what Meg described to me, well, she listened to the first several books on audiobook, and she explained to me that there are massive chapters dedicated to the long lines of family history of all these dead fuckers that you don't care
So
about.
he
That
pulled a
mean
Tolkien.
nothing to the story now, but here's all this info dumping anyway. And
Yep.
so now they're making use of that.
So I read this on Reddit, I think yesterday, and I didn't know this, was that his family used to be like super wealthy, and they lost all of their wealth.
Who is he? Who are you talking about?
The author,
George
George
R.
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 Martin.
Martin.
George R. R. Martin, yeah. He was like super, his family used to be super wealthy prior to like the 1950s, and they lost everything, and his parents used to drive him past their house and say like, and it was like a fucking crazy huge mansion, and he said, we used to live here, we used to own this, the whole town. So in retrospect, that actually explains a lot of the plot lines in Game of Thrones.
Like all of them, because they
Like all these
did
like
at one
formerly
point?
all these like formerly great people who are now like destitute and and like have to like work down in the mud with the people they used to enslave,
Mhm. All right. Did he lose his hand and then have to fight a bear in a pit? That would be dope.
No, he just wrote kids cartoons in the 1980s.
Oh, sweet. Mads Mikkelsen, one of our favorite esoteric European guys when you need one of those.
Wait. What if my character had a scar over his eye?
Yes. Spoke very quietly, like this, but in a way that makes you think I'm dangerous.
In a very Scandinavian accent.
Yeah. Well, he number one, he's in Indy 5, Indiana Jones 5, which we already covered before, but he was they were asking him about the story if he'd had a chance, and he's actually been able to read the entire script. He went on to talk about what a huge fan he was of the entire franchise. And apparently, in his words, the Indy 5 script is everything he hoped it would be. So if he's got good taste, hopefully that means Indy 5 is going to be worth a damn. We'll see.
So, who do you remember the guy who played the Imperial officer in Rise of Skywalker?
The one Imperial officer in Rise of Skywalker?
The one who figured out that what's his name was a traitor.
Oh, I don't know his name, but I think
Anyways,
it's-
so like a month before Rise of Skywalker came out, he said, I've seen the movie and it's incredible. It's the best Star Wars movie ever made. Everyone will cry. It's unbelievable. So I'm gonna take that shit with a grain of salt.
Okay. All right. You don't trust Mads.
I mean,
All right. There was also
he was no, because he was in Chaos Walking. So
Chaos Walking. Oh, I didn't see that one. That's the
yeah, and nobody else did either. That's the point.
the Tom Holland. I thought that like got shelved and Oh,
They
yeah.
actually they spurted it out during in January,
yeah, okay.
and it made $7 million.
Neat. Good for them. He was also asked about taking over for Johnny Depp as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts. Didn't say much on it other than the fact that he won't be just mimicking what Johnny Depp does. It's like, no, this is like that would be stupid and like not creative at all. Like we're definitely gonna.
So he's going to be an
What a
actor, is
different
what
Yeah, he's gonna be an actor.
he's gonna do what you hire an actor to do.
Yeah.
What if he just went out and was like, "Look at me, I'm Johnny Depp. Can I get my check now?"
And he just does like the Jack Sparrow fingers at everybody. Look, I'm Johnny Depp.
A bad Johnny Depp impersonation of a bad Johnny Depp impersonation of Keith Richards.
Well, now they just need to invite Mads Mikkelsen onto SNL so he can act that out for us. Just like doing the worst Johnny Depp. The Borderlands movie. Another article about the Borderlands movie. They're rounding out their casting. Gina Gershon is officially Moxie.
Holy
So-
shit, there's a name from the 90s.
I was just gonna say, what
Wait,
the
she's
Yeah.
playing Moxie? Are you fucking kidding me?
Gina Gershon. Give me something that I would remember her from.
Nothing?
She has a very recognizable.
I can
face,
sort of see
but
it. Well, she was in Showgirls.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, and she's also in that Wachowski siblings movie Bound, the first movie they directed.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Face
Oh, wow.
Off,
Face
Red
Off.
Heat, Killer Joe, Cocktail.
Okay. Huh. All right.
I can see it actually a little bit.
Yeah.
Put some white makeup on that face.
Yeah. I still not played the fucking Borderlands games, but she's like runs all like the bars and she's kind of like where you get your supplies and shit. Like kind of a
Pretty much.
kind of a grizzled personality.
Yes, and
Plus
also a very
every-
hypersexualized character.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
every like scantily clad cosplayer online that's like their go-to to make you fap.
Yep, pretty
Uh-huh.
much.
All right. Let's see what else we got. Oh, over in the TV verse. In my I actually spent this past week catching up with the whole what remains of the Arrowverse, which isn't much. Especially with the news that the Flash is losing its original cast members, Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez, Cisco Ramon, who is like one of the few reasons why I still watch that show, are officially exiting. They're done after this season 7. And
I mean, hasn't what was the first guy's name?
Tom Cavanaugh.
Tom Cavanaugh.
Hasn't Tom Cavanaugh played like 6 different characters in that show?
Six
He's
different
played-
versions of the same character.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so
God.
he was Harrison Wells, and once they started the whole universe jumping stuff, He's like
They ran into like the
reintroduced
Earth
himself.
2 version of him and shit.
They've had like 20 different versions of it at this point. It's ridiculous. And they finally actually in this season, spoilers, they actually killed him off permanently in a very definitive way. It's like, no, there's you're never going to see another one of these guys. So he's already made his exit.
They slice him with a like multi-universal knife or something.
No, he effectively like he was essentially like evaporated into like quantum energy or some shit to save the day. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Comics.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly, flashy. I was talking, having this conversation with my sister. We've both been catching up with CW stuff, and it's just another reminder how disappointing it is with especially the very American model of television shows, where let's just keep going until we run into the ground and like we get canceled. Like it just kind of fizzles out.
Also with how many fucking episodes that show does a season.
Yeah.
They still do 22 episodes a season.
Yeah, which is nuts. I was talking to my sister, we're like, man, it's unfortunate to watch like how after such great heights, that whole connected essentially Justice League, that they were doing their version of it on TV and doing those like yearly specials and everything. Crisis was the point where they should have just closed the book on that universe and go out with a bang, and now it's just kind of sad to see what, Arrow's already been done. Supergirl is ending after this season. And now the Flash, it's already renewed for a season 8, but seeing as, they're
Half
losing
the
many
cast
people.
is gone.
Yeah, it makes, I can probably see them just being done after season 8.
Well, it's also because like Berlanti's foot is halfway out the door because he's now working on Green Lantern with a significantly higher budget. And
Max
HBO Max is effectively like they're going to use him to start something similar on HBO Max. That way they have complete control over it. They're trying to Disney that shit.
Okay. Yeah. I am I don't give much a crap about the plot anymore, but I have to say I do appreciate this final season of Supergirl just because it's a final confrontation with Lex Luthor, which John Cryer elevates the screen every time he's on. He is officially my favorite Luthor, like of all time. Wow. I think. Like I never saw Smallville with who played him on there, Michael Rosenbaum, but
he's pretty good.
Okay.
I liked Michael Rosenbaum for a while, but I mean, actually, my favorite Luthor was OG Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
Same. Well,
Good.
I think Michael Cryer gives him a run for his money, but I think Gene Hackman is probably still
John Cryer.
Still top.
Yeah. Speaking of Disney, did you catch that little video they put out where they reveal their new lightsaber? The headline was like, Disney reveals its real lightsaber, which it's the fact that you're getting a fancy, like high quality glow.
Just make sure you don't hit it with anything.
It's an actual like retractable lightsaber.
It's basically this. It looks the same as those like $300 replica lightsabers, except it's retractable.
Yeah.
But it's totally flimsy, and you can't hit it with anything or it'll break.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my buddy Seth.
So they can wave it around. They just can't hit them against each other.
Yeah. Again, my buddy Seth. He actually managed to get to Disneyland this past week, which I guess maybe it's not as difficult as I assumed it was going to be with the capacity limits and everything.
I don't know. You still have to you have to have proof of Don't you have to have proof of vaccination?
I don't know.
I thought that was one.
I just know it's restricted to California residents.
Yeah, it's California residents still.
And it's like
I've had
30% capacity.
2 of my friends bring their families, Danny and one of my other friends that you don't know, Tony.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it's only California residents and the rest of the world isn't trying to go,
Yeah, and maybe he's gonna get in. But yeah, he said it's a great time to go right now because of that. There's like no lines for anything. Like lines
Yeah.
are pretty much non-existent. And he said the lightsabers that they are selling right now, and he was rattling off all the there's like a million different iterations. There's some that are like recreations of the actual characters, you know, the classic ones, and then just brand new random hilts that you can get and you build it and everything, and it's a whole experience. He's like, I feel kind of cheesy because you know it's like I'm a grown man getting a lightsaber, but it's pretty cool when you go through the whole experience. But still, even those ones are like $200 fucking dollars.
Everybody likes lightsabers. Any time you have like a dinner party or something, one of the dudes is gonna be like, "Is that a lightsaber on your wall?" And you're gonna be like, yeah." And he's gonna be like, can I see it?" And
Our
the dudes
version
are,
of
and the dudes are gonna play with the fucking lightsaber for like at least half an hour.
this is like our version, the nerdy version of like middle-aged football fans. Like, hey, come to my den, and it's just like a wall full of sports memorabilia.
course.
Yeah.
So I was reading that they're starting to introduce like that you can get all of the various lightsabers that you could construct in Jedi Fallen Order. You can now get them at Galaxy's Edge.
Oh yeah, nice. That might have been some of them that he saw.
That was one of the giant polls that was on pre-Rona times was what's the next lightsaber you want to see featured at Galaxy's Edge? And then like there was a couple of different Jedi, like random Jedis listed, and then there was the Fallen Order Jedi's name, I can't remember his name.
Alcestis.
Cal Kestis, yeah. And then like his saber won out by like a giant magnitude, by like he was in like 50% where everybody else was like 10, 15, 10.
Okay, I gotta ask now. Do you have a favorite lightsaber of all time? If you got your own to customize, would it be a specific character's? Would it be your own? What color is your blade?
For me, it's a toss up. It's either the OG Anakin Luke blue saber, or it's Ahsoka's dual white lightsabers.
Those are good ones. My personal favorite is still Luke's green saber. You know, once he loses Anakin.
I really like that one too.
Yeah, the Return of the Jedi one. I really love that design. And green's my favorite color.
Yeah. One of Cal Kestis's lightsabers is actually probably one of my favorite designs.
All right.
I really like Qui-Gon's too.
Qui-Gon's is good.
Qui-Gon's good, yeah. By the way, I saw a Reddit post a few days ago, and then I reshared it and made some of my friends cry as well. Just the other day, officially, episode 1 was just as old or the same age as A New Hope was when episode.
I shared that, by the way.
Oof.
Yeah,
that was me.
Oof.
So it's been 22 years since episode 1, which is how old Star Wars A New Hope was when episode 1 went to theaters.
Yep.
That's oof.
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 Yeah, oof is right.
Time is on my side.
No, it isn't.
No, it ain't. Yep. Oh god. And speaking of which, I guess we should get around to it. Star Wars The Bad Batch premiered.
Oh.
And well, we've got 2 episodes of it now. And hey, Todd's in heaven. Todd, why don't you think?
That first episode was a better Star Wars movie than all of the prequels and the sequels.
It was a really cool look at. I was at first. It took me a while to get into it. Maybe I was just because I was in a weird mood the other day, and I was like just kind of winded on episodic television, just like, oh man. But once I started realizing, oh, this is like immediately after Order 66 kicks into high gear, and just like, oh, what happens to those clones that
did you not
kill?
Did you not notice the name and the voice of the little Jedi
Oh,
at the beginning?
Kanan. Yeah.
yeah.
Kanan Jarrus. Yeah. So we get Kid Kanan, which, okay, cute. I have to see more of it to see. Now, is this a limited series or is this going to be an ongoing, however long
I don't
they
think
decide to
so.
do it?
I think it might be a limited series, but I think there may be multiple seasons, but I think it's
So
got a finite
I
end.
definitely will say that I was very impressed. I actually uh I I don't know why, but my expectations were just like not very high. And it was really, really good. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I felt a little conflicted on it, and this is just me personally because I expected to be more excited about it or fulfilled by it. And after the first episode, it's kind of like, okay, I enjoy the characters. I'm glad that they're focusing on these characters because these are fun guys. I mean, even though it's just, it's D. Bradley Baker talking to himself. um,
Though I think they
but
actually have different voice actors voicing the main cast.
yeah, but part of me is a little conflicted because I don't really feel the need to go back to the Clone Wars again after they stuck the landing so well,
It's
completing.
not the Clone Wars
We're post
anymore.
Clone Wars now.
This is now Imperial era.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
I guess
the
that's-
transition era.
This is the Galactic Civil War.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the beginning, the very, very beginnings of the rebellion. We saw Saw Gerrera. We see
Yeah.
them
Which-
introducing
Which I've always
controls
thought
over.
is the most interesting era. I think the two most interesting eras of the Galactic Civil War is the very beginning and the very end.
Mhm.
And it's also the least covered in Star Wars EU for some fucking reason. There's almost no
Well,
books and comics.
Not
in
of the
this
very
era.
beginning, because we
Eh,
have Solo and Rogue One.
yes, well, we have those, but I'm
And
talking
Rebels.
about like in the original like Legends novels that came out. I know
Sure,
they're
yeah,
no
it was
no
largely
longer-
avoided.
Yeah, that was the one era that Lucas said no, you're not allowed to make books in. Is the time between these the prequels and
Until
the
they did.
original.
Until they did.
Well, that they didn't because
'Cause,
it was
like-
no longer under Lucas control. Is when they started making stuff in that era.
No, I mean, because there were like comics like Star Wars Rebellion and in the 2000s that rule started to get lifted.
I'm pretty sure that's Disney era still. I think that's post Lucas era.
No, Star Wars Rebellion was a Dark Horse comic that ran from like 2001 to like 2007 or so.
Okay.
And that covered the Galactic Civil War, but it was also an anomaly. It was one of the only stories from that time period that they were telling.
Remember when the Star Wars timeline used to be just before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin?
Yeah.
And now we've been slicing this same slice of pie in half and half and half over and over and over.
Into different eras. It's still
So,
the metric is still BBY. So that's still the like galactic calendar is BBY.
All right. Yeah, but I'll have to see more before I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to let it grow on me. There were great moments. I love all the back and forth between them. I enjoyed the dynamic how one of them what was it, Crosshairs, how he still has that bit of that programming that's holding him, and that was a cool little, oh man, that's gonna blow up.
Well, he said he said the line "Good soldiers follow orders." The
Good
moment he
soldiers
said
follow
that, I was like, "Oh fuck, here it goes."
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And you said before,
So
one of you guys said before, Echo, actually, the last time we see him is in Rebels,
I
along
think he's.
with,
Yeah,
along
I
with,
think he's one of the 3 clone troopers that is with Rex on the ATST
with old Rex. Okay.
or
So-
ATPT, I think it is.
So if we're remembering that right, then we at least know he ends up sticking around. He ends up seeing it through. The rest of them, the leader, he just straight up looks like Solid Snake.
Hunter.
Hunter. Yeah, it really makes me want to.
No, he's got like major solid.
That he
threads
should
going
be
on.
David Hayter. He should be voiced by David Hayter.
Yeah, that's true.
uh,
So,
yeah.
okay, this is just a very quick aside. I did not know this. It's something that I thought is cool. I didn't realize that David Hayter is half Japanese.
I did not know that either.
I just found that out recently.
Oh.
Anyways, that's it.
The more you know.
Yeah,
that's cool. The little girl, the
Omega.
Omega, yeah. Because
So
it's Star Wars, so they gotta have.
I really liked her a lot. Anytime she was on screen, I was just like, oh, cool. I wish they would have like talked more about why how or why she even exists. I guess like you find that out eventually that she's a
Right,
genetic
yeah.
anomaly like they are. But have you already seen some of the speculation
No.
I'm
online?
avoiding that.
So it's not, I mean, the most prominent speculation that I read was that she's a Palpatine clone.
Okay. They've
Huh.
been trying to make episode 9 make sense.
Good
So-
fucking luck with that.
They've already started it in the
Yeah,
comics with the
there's a Chris Wendig thing that he's working on too. That's trying to explain it. Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
Alright.
So that makes sense to me. I can believe that. And she kind of her
Well,
facial
I'm gonna let
structure
them know
kind
that
of
there's no fucking chance that's ever gonna happen. But sure.
Now, Byron, you said you didn't get around to episode 2.
I'm like halfway through it.
Oh, okay. So they end up meeting up with not Rex, but the deserter, that we last saw in Clone Wars.
Yeah, where I'm at, they're like hanging out and they're trying to get off world.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really liked is seeing how this, the creeping arm of fascism has already like gotten its tentacles in this deep, like I mean, I will say
the
it seems,
bureaucracy starting already.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. The
Yeah.
bureaucracy is already starting, and that's something that that's something that I like about this era, is that is where a lot of the parallels to fascism that Lucas wrote into the original trilogy itself, that's where it was, rooted in. And we haven't seen a lot of like the daily life in the galaxy under Imperial rule, other than like Rebels. But Rebels is good and I like it, but I feel like it toned that stuff way too down. It made it like this stuff is like barely functional at the kids cartoon story level for like the horrors of fascism. I'm sure it's something that Andor is going to cover a lot better, and it's why I'm looking forward to that show. But this is a really interesting part because this is the point at which how does a peaceful like democratic republic turn into a surveillance state?
Yeah. It's interesting to see all the incremental changes, all the little policies that get implemented, like the needing the
Chain code.
the chain code, yeah, to fly anywhere, to be identified and whatnot.
And I think that's a
And-
direct rip from Solo as well, because it wasn't that the big plot point at the beginning. They were trying to get off world and they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
and
right.
that's a yeah, and that's a like literally during World War II to be able to, go from one place to another, you had to have papers. You had to have a license to get from one place to another so that they could track people so that, you couldn't have mass movements of people from one place to another that could possibly disrupt your order.
There was a moment, I can't remember what triggered it, but the big clone, big tank of a dude,
Wrecker.
yeah, he responds to something where he's like, "Oh, maybe this Empire thing ain't so bad." I don't
Oh
remember
yeah.
what the moment was, but it triggered in my head like, "Oh, this is an interesting moment to capture this whole transition into the Empire, and how when this sort of transition takes place, how you have you can have all these different attitudes about it, like how many people who are very well meaning could just see some things as a positive, as a benefit, like, oh, more law and order or something. Great, terrific. Like, hey, this empire ain't so bad, right on. And just the interesting way how like you said, the fascism sort of takes over and in a way
Creeps up on you.
it's not always in a bombastic way. Sometimes it just creeps up on you.
I also thought it was interesting in the first episode how we've never really gotten like a canonical explanation for how or why the switch over from clones to conscription happens. I still don't really get why, because I feel like having a faceless army that obeys all of your commands at all times would be a lot better than conscripting an army.
So it's called the Tarkin Doctrine, and it's explained a bit in some of the Legends novels. It's
Well, I
more
read
of-
Tarkin,
Yeah,
the book.
it's a couple of the other novels as well, but it's mostly the overwhelming force. So and the
So if you get
expendability.
your enemies to believe your bullshit, then anyone will.
Yeah. So not only that, but it's just every piece of the empire is expendable. That's why TIE fighters don't have hyperdrives, don't have shields.
Yeah, but you
That's
know what
why-
are expendable? Clones.
Clones, but they're more expensive for a conscripted
Okay, I
troop.
guess.
Just trying to save a buck, man. He's a good financially fiscally conservative man.
Okay, I mean,
For the
they are
well, for the
spending like
clones.
$1 bajillion on a fucking Death Star. So I
Well,
guess that
that
makes
was
sense.
to get rid of the
And you know
local-
the old government adage, why build one when you can build two at twice the price?
Tarkin's trying to get a deal, man. He's clipping coupons.
Hey, those Death Star super lasers don't come cheap.
Yeah.
So
Now
the whole-
we need like
Oh.
a old like Cal Worthington Dodge style commercial. Just like different super laser models. Here's one for $49.95.
This one's got the biggest kyber crystal in the galaxy.
Oh man.
This one runs on dark magic.
And this one is just a laser and no exoskeleton.
Yeah, it's a solid start. It had a lot of good both the two episodes had a lot of good promising moments. Again, I don't know, maybe it's just I'm in a mode right now of like craving fresh content from different franchises or something. Maybe I'm a little winded of another Star Wars spinoff right now. I mean, I definitely like, of course I'm going to eat up Mando season 3 when it comes around. But I mean, Meg and I actually just started Avatar: The Last Airbender because she's never seen it, and I realized once we started watching episodes, it's been so long for me that I barely remember anything from it. So I'm kind of enjoying it.
And I haven't watched it since they HDified it, so I definitely should go back and rewatch it, because the last time I watched it was on like fucking 4.3 DVDs.
Yeah, I grabbed a quarantine sale on Amazon for the special Blu-ray set that Avatar and Korra. So we're running through those.
And I never finished Korra. I watched the beginning, but I never finished it.
Oh, it's good times. I think.
Well, because they like fucking pulled it off. They fucking pulled it off Adult Swim before it was even done.
Oh,
They
really?
aired the last 6 episodes only on AdultSwim.com.
Huh.
I was so fucking pissed.
Jesus, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Damn.
They burned them. Yeah, and then they burned them all off in like one weekend. Adult Swim does that with shows that they don't have faith in. They'll just burn off all the episodes at like a 2 a.m. time slot or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're enjoying that.
I don't know. This weirdly enough, Bad Batch actually felt fresh to me. It didn't feel like warmed over Clone Wars content. It
Okay.
felt like a new show. I think it helped that they've like very significantly streamlined the CGI work. Like, it looks phenomenal now. It looks like amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The I guess you call it cinematography, even though it's all in the computer, but it's a wonderfully shot series.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the art direction behind it is brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
they've also been, it's the same production team that's been working on this show for the last, 10 years. So,
Yeah.
so they've honed their craft significantly.
Oh yeah. It just go back and watch like the first episodes of Clone Wars and then jump to the Bad Batch.
Oh
or
yeah,
even the final
seriously,
season
it
of
is like
Clone
night
Wars.
and day.
Yeah.
Well, and also that was really before they realized that this wasn't a kid show, or before they realized it was not a kid show.
Mhm.
Like that first Clone Wars movie is like fucking hard to watch.
Well, we were kind of
I haven't watched the original movie
It's
since.
not good. It is not good.
oh that
It's embarrassing how bad it is.
it's very rough. But we're kind of having a similar conversation because, again, sorry not to pull it away from Star Wars, but Meg posted on like her IG story, like, oh, we're chronicling the beginning of Avatar, our next big binge series, and her sister texted her like all excited, like, oh my god, you're gonna love it, it's so great, blah blah blah. And she was explaining to her the similar dynamic of, I think we might have discussed it on the podcast before regarding stuff like Clone Wars and some other like kids shows. They start out as kids shows and then just naturally the writing develops over time and they tell more complex stories with these characters out of necessity, and they become like, you kind of grow up with them, or I know like kids have definitely grown up with them. Adventure Time was very much the same way. Like they had this kind of, like, that show was, I remember when I had friends like getting turned on to it, and like it was all over comic, they like took over Comic-Con, and like Meg and I were like, what the hell is this? And it, to me, it just like flipping channels, like something like Adventure Time just looked like scribbles and nonsense. And then by the time you get to season fucking 7, 8, 9, 10, you're like crying over these tragic characters' backstories, and just like the shocking depth behind those bright colors and squiggles.
I mean, the
Well,
first show
you
that
you
I
kind of
remember,
have to, because like you mentioned it in your little speech there. The the majority of your audience was kids at the time when you started the show, but by the time you're reaching the end, nearing the end of the show, they're all adults, and you need to keep that core audience still engaged.
Yeah, and that's what kind of getting to with Meg's sister was telling us, or she was telling her like what to expect from this show, and she said like it starts off very like little kiddish, and that then like grows from there. And I mean, in reality, it's like a show about this like this giant war, or like the scattered people who have been affected by this war, and all the their tragic backstories and the people they've lost and how they're trying to save the world and everything. So the main narrative inherently demands you get into grittier sort of stuff, sort of storytelling, and yet still you have a lot of like silly, goofy little kid moments with Aang, the Avatar, the savior of the world. Still, it still also appeals towards kids because he's 12 years old, and so he does silly shit and makes mistakes like a kid does, and then learns lessons along the way, and et cetera, et cetera. Just like throughout the Clone Wars, Anakin did, or well, mainly Ahsoka did through the Clone Wars show proper.
I mean, the show that I grew up with that was the case with, that was Batman the Animated Series. I mean, like,
Yeah,
that show, I mean, it's almost like that show didn't even start as a kid show.
yeah,
But I mean, I watched it as a kid and I totally loved it as a kid. And it wasn't until I got older, and I always knew, and that's why I was so obsessed with it, was because it was really good. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized how good it was, or that it was actually better than I remember, which is crazy. It is very, very, very few times in media that something is actually better than you remember. It's usually the opposite. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, people, watch cartoons because they're awesome.
They are indeed.
One
Todd.
last thing I wanted to mention. I started. I am going back into the Marvel Star Wars comics because I have Marvel Unlimited,
Hmm.
And I'm going because I stopped reading during Jason Aaron's run on the first Star Wars volume because it just started to not be super great. But so I skipped to the end of Jason Aaron's run and I started with Kieran Gillen's run. And let me tell you, it is like a whole different comic, mainly because
Okay.
it's written by a completely different person. But it is dramatically better, to the point where like it's so good that I'm like, wow, you guys should read it because it is that good that I'm like, other people need to see this because Jason Aaron's run was like good, but it was like campy and like just like inconsequential. It's like, why do I even care about these stories? They're effectively meaningless. But Kieran Gillen's Star Wars comic is phenomenal.
This is the comic run that started when?
The 2000, so it's the same volume as the 2015 Star Wars comic.
Okay.
In fact, volume 1 only ended in 2020, and then volume 2 started, and volume 2, so volume 1 ends with Empire Strikes Back, and volume 2 takes place immediately after the Empire Strikes Back.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I've also heard that the new Star Wars comic, volume 2, is also fantastic. Volume 1 ends with Greg Pak, the same guy who's doing the Firefly comics. I've heard that Greg Pak's run starts off really not great, but the last third that leads directly into Empire is also really good.
Add it to the list. Todd, I just saw what you shared in the chat a while back.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up our friend Sebastian Stan from Falcon and the Winter Soldier and his new project. It looks completely fucking insane.
I don't even understand how this got like greenlit.
Why not?
So it's a comedy show, and both Pam and Tommy are not involved in any way.
What? Again,
But they gave
how
the okay
the
for
fuck did this happen?
But the transformation, the photo transformation of these two is insane.
Mhm.
Like Lily James looks fucking identical to late 90s Pam.
Uh-huh. So Sebastian Stan as Tommy Lee and Lily James as Pamela Anderson. And yeah, holy shit. What would Lily James?
Look
what
at
do I
that
do?
photo. Look at that photo. Baby Driver. She's the girlfriend in Baby Driver.
Oh, got it. All right.
Meg, look at that photo of her as Pam and tell me that's not fucking Pamela.
Yeah, that's pretty damn close.
And then Sebastian Stan, that fucking Instagram shot of him in front of the car. It's just, oh man, it's so bad.
Wait, which one?
Shot from Sebastian Stan's Instagram. It's him as Tommy Lee, full character getup, and sitting in front of a car and flipping off the camera. And man, it's giving his best douche face.
It
Oh
is
god.
so Tommy
Oh my
Lee.
god. That's horrifying.
Oh wow.
I don't know if I'm gonna have to be able to watch this.
Sheer morbid curiosity. Now, so the real Pam and Tommy are not involved in any way, but they're getting away with, or they must have okayed this, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because the like likeness rights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no
Okay.
idea. I know it's based off of one of their biographies, so.
I
Oh,
wonder if they need likeness rights.
I don't know. So it's officially called Pam and Tommy. And it's been ordered to series since December.
Seth Rogen is involved. Nick Offerman.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh boy. Sure, why not? Oh,
Okay,
Jesus.
so it's based around the sex tape and the stealing of the sex tape.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it'll probably be a short run series with a
Yeah.
specific arc. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there's that. That exists. Yeah, that's about all the news I had.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna wind down here. Byron's gonna need some.
Yeah, I need to let my 5G seep into the airwaves.
Yeah, need to let that settle with a good night's rest. And
I got more egg rolls to consume here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't, I'm just gonna be like fucking up the
the airwaves. Yeah.
the airwaves in my area.
You're gonna have a few Karens knocking at your door.
How will Bill Gates know exactly where I am if I don't have a microchip built into my body?
That's right. Yeah, we'll never know.
How could he ever do that? Don't know.
Don't know. I'm gonna text and ask around. See, maybe I can get a good
Yeah,
idea.
I'll receive your text, and I'll send you a GPS location in Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, could you do
Or
that?
For those in
possibly
the
Skype.
podcast universe, he's very obviously holding the camera to his or the phone to the camera.
Mhm. Hey, okay. One last thing. Of course, we do this and talk.
One more thing.
We do this and talk for another fucking half hour. But I am royally pissed once again at streaming service exclusivity because I just found out I'm the last person to know about Rob McElhenney's Mythic Quest on Apple.
Yeah, how have you
TV.
not known about this?
Because I don't have Apple fucking TV. Fuck Apple TV. God damn it. Now I
You
want
have an
it.
iPhone or an Android?
Yeah, I'm Android. Fuck Apple. I'm
Okay,
no.
yeah,
This is not an Apple household whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck
not an
them and
Apple.
their stupid
My
price.
the only reason I have access is because my ex-girlfriend had it and my sister has an iPhone. So
Yeah. So anybody out there who's been living under a rock like I have,
and
Apple
Mythic Quest
TV
is good.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I've been seeing. Well, I've
it
been seeing a
had-
bunch of
It
headlines.
had the best quarantine episode of like COVID episode of anything.
Yeah. So is this essentially like Grandma's Boy the series?
I mean, it's
Video
more
game
serious
developer.
than that. It's more
Okay.
like
The Office in a video game development.
it's more like Silicon Valley.
Okay. All right. But yeah,
It's like
I just
it's like if
discovered this.
Silicon Valley was a little bit more irreverent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Charlie Day in it or just producing?
He's just a
alone?
writer.
Okay. Yeah.
Though I would imagine that they'll eventually introduce some character that he plays.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's also got fucking Rickety Cricket in it too.
Oh, Cricket.
Cricket,
Yeah, Cricket.
the pastor, the homeless crack addicted pastor.
Yeah.
gotcha.
That actor was also in Good Girls as well. Who
Oh, okay.
also played a sleazeball, gross character. Not like a cricket gross.
And then it also has the actor who played Abed.
Oh,
Oh,
Danny
cool.
Pudi. Yeah.
Yeah, and F. Murray Abraham.
Holy shit.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Ah,
And then the voice actress who was in Gone Home and what else, Todd? Gone Home, Life is Strange.
I don't play the walking simulator like story for story games.
All right, well, those are both really good games and you should play them.
okay. Oh shit. Okay, so for those of you out there who have Apple TV, season 2 of Mythic Quest is up right now, and go watch it, and I will live vicariously through you. All right, Meg and I have gotta finish up getting ready for our little desert camping trip tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, going out to Joshua Tree.
Ashley Birch, that's her name. She's in Horizon. She plays Alloy in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh,
She
Oh.
plays Tiny Tina in Borderlands 2, Miss Pauling in Team Fortress 2, Mayuri Sheena in Steins Gate, Chloe Price in Life is Strange, Sasha Blouse on Attack on Titan. She's in Fortnite, Valorant. She plays Parvati in Outer Worlds, So she's in a lot of shit.
She's done a thing or two.
And she's in the show. She's not a voice actress. She's a real life actor in the show.
No, I assumed she was just gonna be a disembodied voice. So she would be in there like animated.
Oh, and she was a writer on Adventure Time.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So what's your camping plans, Tony?
Just an overnight. Unfortunately, that's all we can do at this point with an elderly pet who needs meds. So we've got somebody coming by to give poor little Z her nighttime medicine. But just overnight to Joshua Tree Black Rock campground.
Are you roughing it in a tent, or are you glamping with a cabin?
No, it's a tent. You just go up to like a little dirt spot and drive on up and set up your tent. They've got a little picnic table, a little fire pit, and you do the rest. This is there's multiple campgrounds through that whole Joshua Tree National Park, which is fucking huge. But this is one of the two that's recommended for beginners because there are flush toilets, so we will not be shitting in a hole in the ground. But other than that, yeah, we've got a nice big tent and just overnight supplies. We'll just be roasting hot dogs and s'more stuff.
Nice.
Watching the stars away from the city lights. So that'd be nice. Us city slickers.
You actually get to see stars out there. I think Joshua Tree is one of the only places in California that has certified dark skies,
Yeah.
which is an area that's considered no light saturation.
Oh, nice. The last time that we were able to catch a glimpse of like
Pure darkness.
was on our way driving to Meg's mom's in Memphis. So it's a straight shot across like the 10, 20, 30, 40. But we crossed through
It was like
Arizona or New Mexico, like reservation territory. The highway just goes straight through. And we stopped at this random little pit stop just to like eat some sandwiches or something and stretch our legs. And it was pitch, but I forget what time it was at night. It wasn't that late, but it was just out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And so it's pitch black. You could see every star in the sky. It was gorgeous. And unfortunately, I had to shit like a motherfucker. I was holding it for so many miles already. And I was like, we could only like make it stand out there and enjoy it for like 30 seconds to a minute before I was like, we gotta go. I'm sorry.
I was kind of pissed because I had never seen a sky like that in my entire life. It was just, if you ever wondered what life would be like looking at a sky without lights, that was the moment.
It was
and
beautiful.
Then Tony like had to.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Yeah,
I asked him, I was like, Tony, just go in the fucking bush. I do not want to leave. And he refused.
There were other people. I almost
There
did.
was not anyone else out there.
There were other people there.
No, there
drove
weren't.
up right as you were talking. Anyway.
I was mad.
Y'all don't need my shitting stories on the podcast. Here we are. We made it to a loves. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. This is Tony.
This is Todd.
This is Byron.
And Meg.
Go get your 5G on. Get vaxxed. All right. Bye.